right, so writing systems of equations. So first we have Hannah has $11.20 in a jar that contains only nickels and dimes. And there are 140 coins in the jar. So first you need to decide, is this an equation or an inequality? This one is an equation. And then we're going to define our two variables. So we're going to say let n equal our number of nickels and d equal our number of dimes. Okay, so now we're going to write our two systems of equations. So first, we're going to write our money equation. So we have nickels. Well, how much is a nickel worth? 5 cents. So then we have 0.05n plus how much is a dime worth? 10 cents. So we have 0.1d, and then we know that it's a total of $11.20. So this equation represents all the money in this situation for Hannah. So then our next equation is going to be about the quantity or the number. Okay, so all we know is that there's a number of nickels, don't know how many, plus a number of dimes, we don't know how many, but we know that they add up to be 140. So this would be my system of equations. My first one's about the money, my second one was just about the amount. So here we're just practicing setting them up. When we move to page 8, we're going to practice setting them up and solving them. Okay, so on to number 2. We have a total of 243 adults and children, and there are 109 more adults than there are children. So first off, is that an equation or an inequality? It's an equation. Let's define our two variables. So we're going to say let A be for the adults, and you don't have to choose the same variables as me. If you want to say let X equal adults and Y be children, that's fine. Okay, as long as you know what stands for what, so you can understand what your question means. Okay, so first we have a total of 243 adults. So that would be A plus C equals 243. So that's our amount. Some amount of adults plus some amount of children equals 243 total people. Okay, and then the fact that there are 109 more adults than children in the theater, so you could set that up with the number of children plus 109 equals A. Or if you want to flip that, A equals C plus 109. That's representing that if you take the number of kids and add 109, then you get the number of adults. Okay? On number 3, you can work at most 20 hours next week. You need to earn at least $92.
Miss Wigington, call the office, please. Miss Wigington, call the office.
To cover your weekly expenses. Your dog walking job pays $7.50 per hour, and your job as a car attendant pays $6 per hour. So is that an equation or an inequality? Well, since those words at most and at least are in there, we know that it's going to be an inequality. So let's define our two variables. So variable number 1, I'm going to say is D, and this is going to represent the hours walking the dog, the hours with the dog. Okay, and then next I'm going to use the variable C, and this will represent the hours with the car. Okay, and now I'll write my two equations. So he can work at most 20 hours a week. So he has hours either with the dog or with the car. So we know it's some hours with the dog plus some hours with the car. But we know it needs to be at most 20 hours. So I was about to put an equal sign, but that's an inequality. At most represents what inequality symbol? So we have less than or equal to 20. Okay. Then for our next situation, it says that you need to earn at least $92 to cover your weekly expenses, and that it's $7.50 per hour with the dog, $6 per hour with the car. So then that would be $7.50 D plus 6C, and it needs to be at least, so what sign goes with at least? Greater than or equal to 92. So then I have my two systems of equations representing this word problem here. And again, we're not solving, we're just practicing setting up. Last one, Jonah is going to the store to buy candles. Small candles cost $3.50, large candles cost $5. He needs to buy at least 20 candles, and he cannot spend any more than $80. So because of those phrases, we know that this is an inequality. So we're going to define our two variables. I'm going to use, in this one, I'm going to use X because my S kind of looks like a 5. X for small candles and Y for large candles. Okay, and now I'm going to write my two systems of equations. So first, and you don't really necessarily have to do this one first. You can go in any order, but we're looking at that it's $3.50 per small candle and then $5 per large candle, and he cannot spend any more than $80. So those three numbers are all going to go together because they're all talking about the money. So then you have $3.50 per small candle plus the $5 per large candle, and he can't spend any more than $80. So then that inequality symbol needs to be less than or equal to 80. So that took care of all of our money numbers, okay? So then we're looking at our quantity, and we know that there is a number of small and a number of large, and we know that he needs to buy at least 20 candles. So that would be some number of small candles plus some number of large candles, and that it needs to be greater than or equal to 20, since it said at least, okay? So I want you to now go to page 8, and not only are you going to set up your equations, and we're not going to solve any inequalities yet, but set up your equations and then solve for the variables. Make sure you read the questions carefully, because sometimes they only need you to solve for one variable, or sometimes they want you to apply your answer. So make sure you're reading that last question very carefully to see what they want as the answer.